This vlog is going to be the definitive guide to which bike you should buy for your first and why. Basically, I'm going to talk about why people say not to get a 600 or a liter bike as your first bike. And I'm going to talk about my thoughts to that end and why I have the opinion I hold. First things first, you have to take all the variables into account and separate them where you can and compare like to like. So you have different riders, you have different preferences, and we have to be sure to isolate preferences from objective facts or even statistics. All things being equal, I like having choice. I dislike learner laws that force you to have a certain kind of bike, because that assumes everyone's equally stupid. I'm going to tell you my take, but I have to explain it. So there's a lot of knee-jerking that goes on with this topic. Which bike should you get as a beginner? And is there any bike you shouldn't get? Every rider is different because people are different. No surprise. Now, given that people are different, physically different and mentally different, we know that not everyone has to start out in exactly the same bike, because some people can't handle starting on whatever bike they so choose. Let's say we have two control riders, age 18, male. So we've already made the variables mostly the same. Valentino Rossi clone, we're going to call him Rider V, or Valentino. And the other rider is Rider S, Rider Squid. Now, if both of these guys start on liter bikes, are they both going to equally have the same problems? Probably not. Good lane choice, you fucking idiot. Here's the thing about bikes. Bikes are just machines. You can easily go over the limits of a 250 just like you can 1,000. So the engine size is potential. Now, how much you twist that throttle comes down to logic in your brain and your decision making. It's all mental. What you do when you're on that bike is completely up to you. Now, I do agree that it's better to start small, but not because I'm worried about a bike killing you. I think it's better to start small for financial reasons, mostly, and I'll explain that right now. It's good to start small because, one, you don't know if you're going to stay in the sport. If you pay less and you decide to quit after 2 months, it hurts less, okay? If you drop your bike, it's going to hurt less if you drop a bike that costs $5K rather than $13K. Granted, not everyone gives a shit about dropping a bike, so let's not assume this is a hard and fast rule. Some people don't care if they drop a bike because they want the bike they want. So let's consider that. Never assume that everyone gives a crap equally about dropping their bike. Of course they don't. Now, people always mix up variables. There's preference, there's objective fact, and they also mix up unrelated categories like crawling before you can walk. The reason people crawl before they can walk is because they have no choice. That's how humans learn to walk. Nobody gets up and starts running. That does not relate adequately to riding, because if you can ride any motorcycle, you can ride any motorcycle. If you can ride a 250, you technically can ride 1,000. Then it comes down to preference. And there's another factor I need to talk about is rider size. A rider that's 5 foot nothing is going to be way more scared by a 1000cc bike being new than a rider who's 6'6", or let's just say 6 feet. Why is that? Because when you're short and you can't touch the ground adequately, a bigger, heavier bike is going to be a lot scarier. That's expected. You would expect that. So let's roll with that for a second. We have two riders that are each, let's say 5'8". At 5'8", that's about an average size for males, and there's no way that each rider isn't going to be able to flat foot pretty much any bike, or at least get a lot of foot down. Now Squidly could get a 250 and still override that bike, override the tires, override for conditions. All the things you would expect a squid to do. They might pull wheelies, they might do burnouts, they might ride on tires that are bald. Anything you can think of that a squid does, Mr. Squidly does it. Now Valentino Rossi's kind of a squid, but he's a super talented squid by genetics and by training. It's both. The blank slate hypothesis that humans are blank slates that you can mold any way you want is fucking false. Okay, so there's no such thing as a blank slate. Your genetics are part of your makeup. I'm naturally artistic. It runs in my family. That's not an accident. I nurtured that artistic talent by doing it. Now, some people say I could be an artist if I wanted to. If you don't fucking want to be an artist, you don't have the genetics for it. You see what I mean? Wanting to be an artist is the very first step in being an artist. Wanting to be a writer is the first step in being a writer. A writer like Valentino Rossi, maybe he was a squid, and that's probably why he developed some skill. The fact is, he pushes limits in his racing and as he developed as a rider. And you have to do that to become a good rider. Those awesome riders who can rip up the snake on a leader bike, those people push limits because that's how they learn. The personality of good riders tends to be that of people who push limits and test limits and learn. Granted, there's only so far you can go before you may kill yourself. The squid, as I mentioned, could still get in a lot of accidents, even being on a small bike. Valentino could start in a 1000cc, a leader bike, and he would probably be just fine. Granted, he might drop the bike. He might even crash. He might even hurt himself. But the same thing can be done on a small bike depending on the actions you choose. Now, as the talented rider, so this guy's too slow, he's putting me at risk. Because the SUV is going to want to get over with these stores here. Some of it is instinct. That's genetic. Instinct is genetic. I don't mean literal instinct as human instinct goes. I mean instinct, look at that fuckwad, in the colloquial sense, with how you sense conditions and how you respond to those conditions. Cops have a certain kind of instinct. Some of it's based on training. Some of it's based on their personality, and that personality is what made them become a cop. Some people can handle any bike that you throw at them, and some people cannot. So, get what you love. If you get the bike you love, here's another angle. If you get the bike you love, you're more likely to take care of it. You're more likely to respect it. This depends on personality again. You're more likely to learn how to ride it because you're happy to be on it. You're not embarrassed to be on it. So yeah, getting the bike you love for some people has the effect of making them actually better on that bike or treat it better. There's the financial aspect too. If you get the bike you like, you're basically buying a bike once instead of 3 times as you move up. Now the downside of buying a big bike that you like, it's going to bite you more easily than a small bike. But any bike can bite you if you don't respect it. It's going to cost more. It's going to hurt when you drop it as far as cost goes. It's going to be more expensive to repair. You may feel pressure to perform on that bike because you're on a big bike and now you're in a canyon getting smoked by the racer on the 250 or the racer on his day off enjoying his little 650, and there you are on the leader bike wondering why you're getting spanked, and you'll feel all this pressure and anxiety. When you're on a small bike, you don't have any pressure. That's one of the fun things about a small bike. No one expects anything from you. If there's a lot to learn, and you want to learn without too much pressure, that's one way to go. Your preference, again, is inseparable at a certain point. Do you like to throw around a bike? If so, a small bike may be to your liking. Do you like to have power? Like 1 liter bike power. If you like to have power, you're gonna love a liter bike. Now here's another angle yet again. Now there's a lot of parameters here. If you've never ridden a liter bike, and you're judging people who get liter bikes, or you're telling people not to get liter bikes, then you need to check your facts and go ride a liter bike and then come back and tell me what you think. If you've never ridden a 600 and you're telling people not to get a 600 as their first bike, you need to go ride a 600, come back, reassess, tell me what you think. The reason I say that is because I've owned everything from a 250 Ninja to this little 300 to the R1 to 600, 750. I've also had an SV650 V-twin. Now with all that experience, and I'm age 44, I've learned that, wow, look at that road right there, that's fucked up. With all that experience, I've learned that a liter bike is really not a big deal. It's just really not what people make it out to be. People make it seem harder than it is because they like the exclusivity of knowing they're on a big bike and they want to make it seem scarier and faster and dangerous and blah, 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 blah. It's not that bad. I could ride an R1 on this canyon road at this speed at any pace I want to ride it on within my limits, and I would be just fine. And if you have throttle control, if you know how to ride a bike, let's assume two riders now, Valentino and Squidly, are both mature riders. They've been riding a while. Squidly's been in a bunch of accidents. Valentino's been in a bunch of accidents, but for different reasons. Valentino now can knee drag, he can wheelie, he can stop, he can do whatever he wants. Squidly still doesn't know how to corner, still, you know, has like show tires instead of tires that are right for the bike. He has an extended swing arm. He's making some bad decisions. He's putting a lot of effort into chrome and bling instead of learning how to ride and working on his technique and mods that are actually important. And Valentino is way ahead now. Of course, now Valentino has grown nicely into the 1000, and Squidly still doesn't ride a 250 very well. Bottom line, get the bike you like. Start small for financial reasons. But if you really want a BMW S1000R, then get one. You may learn a hard lesson. You may realize, here's another angle. There's always so many angles here, guys. Always. The other angle here is, when you're a new rider, you don't know what you like, right? You may think you want something based on what's popular, what's cool, what you've seen in movies. And if you're smart, you don't give a shit what you've seen in movies. You want the bike you want for smart reasons, right? So even when you're shopping for bikes, smart riders tend to make decisions that are better. Right? Because people that are not making sound decisions are judging a bike for all the wrong reasons. How it looks. Am I going to get chicks? Oh, gee, do I have to wear a helmet because then I won't look cool? No, you know what looks cool? Keeping your brain inside your head. That looks cool. As you learn how to ride, and as you try different bikes, you'll eventually develop a taste for what you like. And then you can make a better decision, like, do you value small bikes on a canyon road? Like right now, I think that's a fun thing, and that's why I have a small bike, in part. A lot of people give me shit for having a small bike, but I'm enjoying the hell out of it. High beams. Liter bikes are great in many conditions, in many situations. On the freeway, fantastic. If you get road rage on the freeway, which I have been, and you need to get the hell out of there, nothing better than a liter bike. Yes, I had some crazy bitch road rage me. And I was on my R1, I was basically lane splitting. She didn't like the fact that I was lane splitting, and she was raging on me, and I got the fuck out of there on my R1 like nobody's business. Can't do that so well on a 300, not as easily. You can use your size and your lane splitting, but you don't have the power. Track days, any bike you like is fun. Small bikes are awesome at the track, but you're gonna get passed by noobs on big bikes every time in the straights, every time. Every time, unless they're the kind of noobs that know that it's cheap to do that. And you know, 600s are a good compromise, but they're not that hard to ride. They're actually very easy to ride. If you want to go slower, give it less gas. You want to go faster, give it more gas. Now let's take these two people, right? The smartest person in the world and the dumbest person in the world. Which bikes should they start on? The smartest person wants to start on the 600. But they're so smart that they're going to make sure they don't do anything that's going to cause them to die. All their decisions are going to be the smartest thing you could possibly do, right? They're going to get frame sliders, they're going to do everything right. Stupid McStupidson makes the worst decisions, but wants a 600. Are they going to do the same? Are they going to be the same risk? No, they are not. The smart guy or girl is going to be able to ride that 600, is going to be cautious, isn't going to go wide fucking open on a throttle the first day because he won't fucking know what he's doing. And the stupid guy is going to go wide fucking open because he's going to treat it like a pocket bike. So, are they going to be the same? No, they're not. But even on this little Ninja 300 that I'm riding right now, I could crash easily if I did not respect what the bike can do and what I can do. It's not just about the bike, boys and girls. It's also about you as the rider and knowing what you can and can't do and how you feel that day. So it's about the bike and you on that bike, how you feel that day. Are you feeling sick? Are you feeling tired, sleepy, headache? Maybe you just feel off and you don't know why. Anytime you feel off, you gotta respect it, you gotta slow down. You know, it's okay to be off. Sometimes things just don't feel right. You don't know why. So, a smart person responds to all of that. And they're going to assess risk in a smart way. That's what smart people do. I can see that there's a lot of cyclists on the road right now. So that tells me there's some kind of event, maybe, or just a big group. My tires feel different. You know what it is? I lowered the pressure for the snake. And I'm getting used to that on this road right here. Because normally I run higher pressures. See? I knew there was some kind of event because I just saw it and my instinct told me that there was. Just based on patterns. So, since people are different, some people are going to be amazingly good riders and will learn to adapt on a leader bike even though it's their first bike. They will adapt so fast that it won't really matter that it's a leader bike. But I've been riding long enough where even with my level of caution, I've built up some skill, right? Not as much as some people because I don't push that hard. Some people can hang off, I can't do any of that shit. I can't do wheelies. But then again, I don't care about wheelies, you see? So that informs my bike purchasing because I don't give a shit about stunting. So I don't need a lot of power if I don't care about wheelies, right? I like small bikes. I like the low weight of a small bike. I like the low seat height, being that I'm 5'3". This is a smoker right here. So everything matters based on you as an individual. You can't apply global parameters to each individual necessarily. I mean, you have statistics and all that, and I think you are better off in a small bike when you learn for a lot of reasons. But some people can handle big bikes. They just can't. And maybe those people are more offended when we tell them to start small. If someone is 6'6", I'm not going to tell them that they have to start on a 250 or a 300. Sometimes I think it's okay for those people to start on bigger bikes, just because they're taller. Maybe a different type of bike. I think I tricked myself. I feel like I'm on a jigsaw. So that's my thing about beginner bikes. It's actually just a modified get what you want. Smaller is better financially. It's probably less intimidating to learn on. And your height factors in, your natural ability, your intelligence, your level of risk-taking, what you actually want out of a bike, which you won't know as a beginner rider necessarily. You'll know what you want sometimes, but you won't know why you want it until you get some experience under your belt. So, I've ridden enough to know what I want. I know that a leader bike is awesome, but I don't need it. And I don't really miss it. I know that I love a 300. I know that throwing a little 300 around these canyon roads is fun as hell. I like a small bike, I always have. And when you have a lot of experience on different bikes, you know, you can make an intelligent choice about what you want. It helps you decide. A leader bike is like having that Lamborghini or that Ferrari. I mean, it's a flagship vehicle. It's the vehicle that company cares the most about as far as sales. They're putting the most technology into it. You're getting a lot of trickle-down MotoGP technology. There's no expense spared. So owning that has there's a benefit there, more than just how fast it is. And I've experienced that benefit. I experienced that thrill, and it really is awesome. There's something to be said about the stability of an R1, of a heavier bike, especially on the freeway. Especially on the freeway with a bunch of crap on it like the 405 has, near where I live. I ran over a bunch of pipes and I had a huge tank slapper. And that thing has a steering damper on it. Guess which bike doesn't have a steering damper? The one I'm riding. So if I had hit those same pipes on this bike, I might have crashed, and that would have been a bad crash, because what the fuck is this guy doing? It was at night. You know, a lot of stuff could have been hit by someone coming up behind me. The person's driving really weird. So yeah, that bike combined with that steering damper, those are all reasons why I kept it up and why I didn't crash. Basically, the bike pipes were like as close as that sign is now, and I ran over them, and I basically had a tiny bit of warning to sort of stand up slightly, bend my knees, and stay on the gas. I stayed on the gas, and I did not crash. Hey, it rhymes. Okay, I gotta pass this guy, because they're driving really erratically. Slow, fast, wobble, wobble. Maybe they're sightseeing. Oh, look at that. They're crossing the double yellow. Alright. I guess I'll pass him here. Don't be turning left, please. I don't think I can do a high speed run here. It's very easy to get a cheer or an applause when you say start small. It is easy to get approval. But I'm not after approval. I'm after what's smart, what makes sense. What makes sense for individuals, depending on their different talents and skills. I always wave to drivers if they let me pass. You gotta be cool. Being cool goes a long way. Now, another reason small bikes are good is because even when you ring it out, you're still within the speed limit, most likely. You know, people say it's more fun to ride a slow bike fast than to ride a fast bike slow. And I, having owned big bikes, I pretty much agree with that. I got a gaggle of slow in front of me. Prius. Jeep and trailer. Truck even slower, braking through turns. This truck right here has less skill than the trailer guy. Way less skill. That trailer guy could beat this truck through any canyon, I'm sure. While pulling the trailer. This truck has low skill. You can tell by how they brake and when they brake and the fact that they're braking at all. Oh my god, they braked up a hill, you fucking idiot. Are these guys religious? Why are they pointing up? Maybe it's because of my suit. And oh my god, they ran a red light too. That driver ran a red light. It's not Sunday. That was cool though. See, some Harley guys wave. They're not all douchebags. Actually, a lot of Harley guys are pretty awesome dudes. Some are just fucking wannabes though. But you know, some sport bike riders are wannabes. Now see, I flashed to pass that guy. Flashed to save my ass.